Hi, I'm Kenneth. In 2006, on Christmas Day, my father went home to be with the Lord. And about a year and a half later, just 2 days after Easter, my mother also went home to be with the Lord. Of course, I grieved at those times, and I was very sorrowful, but I didn't fully process what their deaths were meaning to me at that time. I held on to it, I buried it, I moved on with life, I got busy. Fast forward to 2018, and there were several other things going on in my life at that time too that I wasn't fully processing, but instead was just doing the daily works of my job and my life. When I was invited to a Blue Christmas service that Pastor Chris was hosting at his church, some friends of mine attended that church and invited me. I was intrigued by the idea and decided to come. What I didn't expect is what happened that night. After some singing and a message, Chris gave the opportunity for us to go to the front and to light candles representing those things that we were holding on to that we needed to let go of and hand over to the Lord. I knew what I wanted to light candles for. I wanted to give it a minute because this wasn't my church. I didn't want to be the first one in line, and so I just bowed my head and prayed a little. And when I looked up, there was a line already formed. Eventually, I got into that line and I lit a couple candles. When I then came around to sit, I had barely found my seat when my eyes began to just water and tears began to flow. It became an ugly cry. I was weeping. My shoulders were shaking. I was snorting and breathing hard. I couldn't catch a breath as the tears were just pouring. But God broke me that night. I needed to be broken. I needed to give things over to him. And that night, through that service, he did that. It became a turning point. It opened my heart up to just a few months later going on a missions trip, which I hadn't done in many, many years. And ultimately, it even led to me being a pastor myself. And now for the last 3 years, I too have hosted a Blue Christmas service at our church. And what I can say is each year, many people come, bringing their burdens and their sorrows. And each year I hear the testimonies of how meaningful it was for them to be able to have the chance to acknowledge God in that sorrow and to hand these things over to him. In a season that is full of joy and happiness and presence and giving and singing, there's still so many people that carry burdens and sorrows. And for me, that Blue Christmas service in 2018 was an opportunity for God to work in my heart. And I've seen it so many times on so many other people. Take care, and God bless.